Hi everybody, it's Dawn and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, everybody's talking about it. I might as well talk about it too. Carnival's worst disaster ever. And yeah, well, we got some more Carnival news, plus a very, very rough start for a world cruise. 117-day world cruise, and it's not off to a good start. So Netflix just dropped its almost hour-long documentary on the infamous Carnival Triumph's 2013 what has been labeled the poop cruise. And it is all the rage right now on Netflix. It is also being quoted in tons of news stories, etc. right now, and people's experience. And if you're not familiar with the poop cruise on the Carnival Triumph, it was a cruise that broke down in the middle of the water, in the ocean, and it took 4 days for them to get a ship that was able to tow the ship back to Alabama. And during this time, there was no air conditioning, there was very little lighting, they were on emergency power, and all of the bathroom systems, etc., backed up. Their refrigeration systems shut down, which means they had to get rid of all the perishable foods that were on board. And people ended up having to drag their mattresses out of their rooms, and it turned into a tent city on top decks because it was, remember, no air conditioning, you're in the Caribbean, and it was hot and smelly and stinky and no food. And so it must have been an absolute horrible experience for people out there. Of course, after this, there was huge changes. They found a design flaw, and Carnival actually spent over $500 million across their fleet at that time in 2013 to fix potential problems on any other ships that this sort of thing might happen to. But it also had a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit. And what caught me off guard was the very first thing that they tried, Carnival Corporation's lawyers tried, I'm not saying Carnival, but their lawyers, tried, was a very small clause hidden basically in your terms of service of your ticket. And it even caught me off guard at how blunt this was, that it actually mentions in the clause that Carnival did not guarantee good food, did not guarantee your safety, did not guarantee things like that on the cruise. How can a cruise line not guarantee your safety on there? That was crazy little clause that's been put in there. Of course, it didn't work. It didn't work at all in this case. They did end up settling out of court, but if you're interested, watch the Netflix documentary. It's a fascinating watch, and just hope it never happens to us on our next cruises. Speaking of Carnival, we also have the Carnival Vista, and the Carnival Vista has just told people that they're going to be extending their stay in Amber Cove. It was supposed to be from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., but instead it's going to be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for unscheduled maintenance. So this is somewhat concerning. Now, it's not supposed to interrupt any part of the next part of the cruise. They're still supposed to make all their next destinations on time, etc. But it is concerning because this ship has had a history of propulsion issues. In fact, it's had 3 different propulsion issues in 9 years, approximately every 3 years. And guess what? It's approaching the 3-year mark again. And that's why it's a little concerning. I'm really hoping it's not propulsion issues. I hope it's just something, oh, we got to replace this. We're going to do it while we're in port. And that would be great. But I would be keeping an eye on the Carnival Vista going forward, just in case. Next, let's talk about the Carnival Miracle. The Carnival Miracle just canceled its July 6th cruise. That's right, a cruise coming up in about 2 weeks. Canceled it outright. And people will be getting their full refund, some onboard credits as well, and up to $200 for flights. But the reason really is not Carnival's fault. There are a lot of people very upset with Carnival over this, but it's really not Carnival's fault because the shipyard in Cadiz, there's a labor strike that's going on with some of the labor that works on the cruise ships, and they are, falling way behind in their schedule dry dock refurbishment. So what's happening is they had to move the ship from Cadiz to Marseille and get it fixed there, and it's currently over there now getting done. As of right now, the July 13th cruise is still on schedule, but because of the change and what's going on, we'll have to keep an eye on it to make sure that the ship is at a dry dock in time to make it all the way across back to North America to make its July 13th sailing. Let's hope it does. Let's hope it does. And cruise canceled 2 weeks. That absolutely is never fun. No matter how much credit you get or onboard credits and refund, just doesn't add up to fun, shall we say. Next, let's talk about the Crown Princess. And the Crown Princess is off to a very rough start for its 117-day world cruise. Remember, just a few weeks ago, it listed to one side. And it, during a storm, a wind change went from port side to starboard side in a matter of like 10 seconds. And the ship ended up listing over to one side for a while. The captain made the turn, corrected everything, everything's fine, but things got smashed, glass got smashed, etc. And it was pretty exciting if you're not terrified of being on the ocean. Now, however, they're off the coast of Africa and trying to, head down to Cape Town, etc. But there's a huge storm going on down there, and they had to divert to different ports. And now they're in danger of missing a couple of those cruise ports along the way. And the captain is sailing, we sailed east to avoid the most of the storm. However, this storm is raging all over the place, and it could affect itinerary stops going forward as well. So yeah, they're off to a bit of a rough start. But if you're going on a world cruise and it's gonna last 4 months, you gotta expect some things to go wrong. It's not gonna be smooth sailing the entire time. There are gonna be storms. There are going to be missed ports. There's going to be schedule changes. It's going to happen. It can be disappointing, but remember, you're on a fantastic world cruise. It's not the end of the world. And I know if you are really planning on visiting Cape Town and really hoping to get there and they don't end up getting there, that can be disappointing. However, you'd rather be safe than in a storm off the African coast. Trust me. There you go. Wow, lots of news about Carnival today, lots of stuff going on, and I just one more time wanted to thank everybody for all your support while I was in the hospital. I know people were checking in every day to see how I was, and as you can see, I'm home now. I'm definitely not 100%. Definitely not 100%. I still get winded just walking around my living room. But I'm recovering, and I'm doing my IV every day as scheduled, and I'll find out next Tuesday whether or not I'm going to be able to get to the group cruise or not. So it's going to be a last minute thing, but my intentions are still to be there, and even if I'm not, I have contingency plans to make sure everybody on the ship has a great time. So again, I just want to thank everybody out there, and until next time, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, Have yourself a safe and a great vacation.